Good evening. Good evening, kings and queens of the land. Good evening. Good evening to all the royals. Good evening. Good evening to um, uh, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to all the liberated zones in Africa. The only three liberated zones in Africa, which is Niger, which is led by President Abdurrahman Tian, and Mali, led by President Assimi Goita. Good evening to Burkina Faso, which is led by President Ibrahim Traore. Thank you for liberating Africa and for declaring war against colonialism on behalf of the African people. Good evening to the KZN. Good evening to MK Party. Led by President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma Mhlanganyelwa. Good evening to President Zuma and the MK Party, partially liberating the KZN from the British colonialism. The MK Party, partially liberating KZN. Good evening to all, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mungun Mkonto. This is the Royal Opinion. Today, I want to talk about the reason why the economic freedom fighters. Let me share a video. I want to talk about the reason why the economic freedom fighters, the EFF, will be forced to work with the MK Party, or is forced to work with the MK Party. I want to show a video and then I will comment about it. Let me just go ahead and show the video footage, and I will comment later about it.
Can you can't just go on a whim here. This is not ANC NEC meeting. We are in parliament. There's our rules here and there's procedures. You have acknowledged a murderer.
Point of order.
Please continue with your speech. Our own Isitimela Sabantu. Again, Minister Chrissy will provide that. Mr. President, we commit to perform and deliver on the timelines you have set against us, and as the presidency, coordinate the work of government to make sure that we deliver and focus cabinet in that delivery. Because we are the daughters of Sophie de Bruyn, we are the granddaughters of the women of 1956 March, and in their footsteps, we are committed to serve the public purposefully and intentionally for the rise of South Africa, as you have called us to action. Rise, South Africa, rise.
Thank you very much, Minister Nchaveni. Honorable members, before I call upon the next speaker, I would like to take this opportunity and acknowledge the presence of the former President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Zuma. He's here with us today. Thank you very much, honorable members. You may take your seats.
This happened after it was actually. I actually played.
He hasn't been impeached. Nothing has happened.
Remember, there's no provision for me to agree with what you are saying. Please, let's proceed with the sitting of the House. Over to you, Minister.
Chair,
Madam Chairperson of the National Council of
Chair, on a
Provinces.
point of order.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, House Chair, I think you need to go and read the rules correctly, regardless about how you feel of former President Zuma. We acknowledge state presidents here in the House. He hasn't been impeached. Nothing has happened. When we opened this parliament, we
Honorable
did the same
members,
thing.
I
understand
can't
the
hear
issue of-
what the honorable member is saying.
okay,
You're
I'll
making
say it
noise. If you
slowly.
may repeat, please.
It's the sound system. I don't know with this. We had the same problem the last time. We are quite happy for the EFF to help with the sound, but let's park that for now. Honorable, you still can't hear me. Honorable Speaker, you need to go to your rules. Not Speaker, Honorable House Chair. You cannot say that there's no provisions to acknowledge a former state president. It's not true. Whether you like former President Zuma or not, whether he's part of your party, doesn't have membership, it's immaterial. He was once upon a time a state president. Do the right thing.
Honorable member.
You'll even acknowledge de Klerk, the whole murderer who's roasting now in hell. But you can't acknowledge.
Honorable
no,
member,
it's wrong.
can you please
House
allow
Chair,
me?
please.
I've made a ruling in that regard. Can we please proceed?
Which rules did you read? No. House Chair, which rule did you read to say that? Can you refer us to a rule that says you must not acknowledge a former state president?
Respect the ruling.
Which rule? But you can't rule just out of your head under House
Honorable
Chair.
Matthias, can you
You
please?
can't just go on a whim here. This is not ANC NEC meeting. We are in Parliament. There's our rules here and there's procedures. You have acknowledged a murderer.
Point of order.
In the House and you're not doing it. It's wrong.
Blah, blah, blah.
Honorable Minister in the President.
Okay. What is happening there is the EFF. Thank you very much. Tables are turning indeed. Thank you very much, King Victor Shoma, for joining. You are a lone man at the moment. Tables are turning. Thank you very much for joining. Indeed, tables are turning. What we've just watched here, we've been watching the EFF in Parliament defending or forcing the chairperson of the NCOP or of the joint sitting to acknowledge the presence of President Jacob Zuma, which they were refusing to do. But the EFF insisted that President Zuma should be acknowledged. These are the tones that we are starting to hear from the EFF. Today I want to talk about why do we have this tone, because many people get confused, and I don't like when the royals are getting confused of easy things. The EFF has just debated to defend President Zuma. If we remember what happened when at the start, when President Zuma called for unity with the EFF, we remember that the EFF or Julius Malema rejected the call for unity with the MK party. And he actually declared the MK party as the number one enemy of the EFF. I don't know, maybe at that time he forgot that the number one enemy was the white system. But he declared that the number one enemy of the MK party of the EFF is the MK party at some stage. At some stage, he actually gave a directive to his membership that whenever they encounter MK members online, they should be hard on MK members online. They should basically, those who know the EFF members who they actually like um, engaging, let me say engaging, but most of the time aggressive engagement. That's the most polite way the most polite words I can find. They like aggressive engagement. The membership of the EFF are people who look a little bit angry. So when the commander-in-chief issued a directive for the EFF members to aggressively engage the MK party members wherever they meet them online, that's what he said previously. President Zuma, with his wisdom, came up with a policy in the MK party which banned members of the MK party from responding from insults of their EFF members at that time. He said we should remain focused because the focus of the EFF or the job of the EFF at that moment was to create chaos between black people. Chaos between black people, it's a preferred method by the colonizer because that method helps them in many ways. It helps them to continue or to basically take things for free while you are engaged in fighting. It helps them to save their young men who are going to be productive after the war, while your young men are highly engaged in a battle. In a battle against themselves, sponsored by the outsiders. That is how the strategy, that's how it works. When they create terrorist organizations, they go to that particular country in which they want terrorists to operate. They pay some of the natives or some of the people who are coming from the area, give them guns to go and fight against their own people. This is an old strategy that had helped the Europeans and the Americans to colonize Africa. They were using the method of getting black people to fight against each other. At that time, they created wars against kingdoms breaking apart, families breaking apart into smaller pieces. Aggressive war happened because of the white system, because of white people when they wanted to colonize black people, using black people to clean their way, meaning to fight anybody who is resisting against this colonial project. So that's what they did. They came in and engaged black people in a war. South Africa would remember that the ANC in KZN and the IFP, by then they were involved or engaged in a war. We would remember that kingdoms from the starting of King Shaka, the biggest displacement of human beings that ever happened in the South, black people moving away, running away from King Shaka. That was the project of white people of displacing people from their lands so that they can grab the lands. So when they use the local kings to actually fight their wars, it was a better strategy for them because human resources are very expensive. So they always deploy this method. They come and create terrorists. Also in Mozambique, that's what they did. When they discovered the gas in Mozambique, they created a terrorist organization. But the terrorists are local people, the same people uh, uh, who grow up in the area, who knows the forest, and the people who are being paid by the international companies and the mafias to go and create chaos so that people can be displaced and the companies can come and mine without disturbance by the people or without having to relocate people. So in South Africa, that was the plan. White people wanted ideally a war between the MK party and the EFF. But the wisdom of President Zuma made it impossible for the EFF to actually gain, for the war to actually gain any credibility. The war did not gain any credibility because the MK members were not allowed by President Zuma to respond on whatever provocation that comes from any political party, whether it's an insult, whether specifically, whether it's an insult against you or whether it's an insult against the organization, it was a political decision to never respond. And the MK party, because it's command base, they listen to President Zuma. So the project basically failed. We have seen now the CIC causing closer and the EFF causing closer to the MK party. Many people who doesn't know may become confused. They think the EFF has stopped selling out. It's not true. The local government elections are coming. Robbing of elections in the local government, it's a very massive job. It's a delicate job. It's a very serious work because the results are declared on the station. The candidates are known locally. The people who are voting in the station are also known locally by the people who are from that area. It's very difficult for anyone to bring other people who come from outside the voting station to come and vote. So it's going to be difficult for the GNU to rob the elections like they did in the previous general elections. The previous general elections, the GNU have robbed the elections. We can actually declare that they did that because the MK party has opened the case against the IEC. The case has never gone to court even today because they are afraid if the case can go to court, then the GNU will be forced to dismantle because there is evidence of them rigging the elections. The MK party says they have hardcore evidence of their robbing of the elections. So it's going to be difficult for any organization to rob the local government elections. The MK party is going to take a lot of municipalities from the ANC, from the Democratic Alliance. Somewhat, the MK party is going to take over KZN, municipalities in KZN, are going to be taken over by the MK party. Municipalities in most municipalities in Pumalanga as well. We can say as well in Gauteng, Pumalanga, Gauteng, and KZN. Um, these are the places where the MK party will be dominant. And the MK party is going to be far ahead of the EFF in terms of the local government elections. This is the reason why Julius Malema has changed his tone to go with the MK party. Most of the time, let me share another video. No, actually, let me not even share that video because it was Julius Malema acknowledging the presence of the MK members in his gun case, where he's actually accused. I wouldn't go and support him because I know he's not a revolutionary case. The reason he was arrested is not because he's a revolutionary. It's because he's a spoiled, I would say, a spoiled South African boy who goes around playing with guns out of excitement under the situation in South Africa where guns are actually destroying the nation. Alcohol is destroying the nation. Guns are destroying the nations. So he goes around playing with guns instead of teaching the youth to avoid alcohol and guns. He's basically encouraging mafia style kind of excitement. So the MK party members went there to support him and acknowledge them. I only wanted to share that video of him acknowledging. He wouldn't do that at that time that when he declared the MK party as enemy number one. The reason he's doing so now is because the MK party is going to take over the local government elections, and the EFF has to prepare themselves to go into alliance with the MK party so that they can be part of governance. Otherwise, they will not be able to form, in most cases, they will not be able to form government without the MK party. In most municipalities, they will not be able to form any government without the MK party. The EFF has got intelligence because their intelligence is provided by the mafia. Their intelligence is the same intelligence which is provided to Ramaphosa, provided by the mafia to them. Having the knowledge of the numbers and having the knowledge of what is going to happen in the local government elections, Julius Malema is forced now to tone down the insults against President Zuma, to tone down on the insults against the MK party, because he will want cooperation. In KZN, the EFF is offering, they offered their vote to the MK party to take over KZN. And the reason for that, they said, is because the MK party is in majority in the KZN. But the real reason is they are offering the vote in preparation of what is to come. King Victor Shong was saying CIC is following the footsteps of Buthelezi, Savimbi, and Alfonso. Exactly. That's why he's on that road. They've actually created a Savimbi here. The script is always the same. The strategy is always the same. The colonizer is not creative. They are not clever enough to be able to create new ways to fight with us. It's the same strategy. It's just that as well we are sleeping because there are other people who have sold us out, who have decided to go to parliament and act. So there's another issue that the other on international news. The other issue I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the judgment that had happened in Niger. The judgment where Niger government has taken the former colonial masters to court for slavery, for abuse, for exploitation, for stealing, for torturing, doing all of the bad things against the African people by the European Union. Let me say by the European Union and by the Imperial USA. The court in Niger found that France was guilty of colonial crimes and finding them guilty and charged them a fine of about 85, I think it's about 85 billion euros, which the court says they should pay. And Burkina Faso, Niger will start paying itself from from the assets of the three countries which are in the country, meaning the assets of the colonized, the assets that belongs to the colonizer that are in the Niger territory are going to be confiscated to pay for the crimes that the British, the French, the Americans have committed to black people when they came to Africa. They further charged the companies, the mining companies, 10 billion euros to contribute towards the health of people who are working in the mines, who are sick because of the work environment in the mines, which the mines are not taking care of. Niger is a liberated state. In South Africa, it won't happen that a court found at the moment, because we are still under the colonial government, it wouldn't happen. Justice, you cannot expect justice from the perpetrator. The cases are taken to European courts, adjudicated by Europeans. And mainly, that is how normally things operate. They say if it's an international case, then the case are adjudicated in Europe by Europeans. Niger have made a decision to adjudicate the case in the territory in which the crime has happened. And they've declared that the colonial peg are actually guilty of colonial crimes and slavery, kidnapping, murder, extortion, resources, mineral resources, ocean resources, air resources, space resources, the land. So in South Africa, the colonizer still owns the land. Basically, the government of South Africa was just to adjudicate this issue and see if they will not be found guilty of these colonial crimes because they have committed the crimes. Burkina Faso, on the other hand, which is part of the Sahel, it's only 3 countries in Africa which are liberated. President Zuma is trying to liberate South Africa. His attempt at the moment is partially liberating KZN. But the rest of the African states are still under the sell-out slaves of Salon, the house niggers, the slave traders, who are actually witches. We can call them witches. People who pretend to be like this while they know they are actually just playing you for fool. No integrity, no truth in them. So Burkina Faso, on the other hand, have given the all companies who are making more money in Burkina Faso to establish their headquarters in Burkina Faso. They have given them 3 months to submit their plans to establish headquarters in Burkina Faso. What is the reason you want them to establish headquarters? Because he wants them to build skyscrapers. First, it's for development. It's for the cities to look good. To have skyscrapers like they are having in other countries like Dubai and other areas. So it will help in property development, and it will help in creation of jobs. When they establish their headquarters in Burkina Faso, they will be forced to employ the people from Burkina Faso. And when they are forced to employ people from Burkina Faso, it will be difficult for them to escape from paying tax. Because there's already people who are from the country in your office. So these offices are prescribed. They've prescribed to them what kind of offices they should build, depending on how many billions you are taking from our land. You have to build a skyscraper. I think it's about it starts the biggest one is 7 stories. They have to build a minimum of 7 stories, and they have to submit their plans in 3 months. If they are not going to submit their plans in 3 months, their businesses will be expropriated without compensation. That is when Africa is liberated. But this is not sitting well with Europe and America. The US has already deployed armies in Nigeria and Ghana. They know there's a lot of Russian soldiers in Burkina Faso, in all the Sahel states. They want to recolonize Niger. They want to recolonize the 3 states. This is very critical for them to do. They have to fight to recolonize these 3 states. Because if they don't, this will expand. And if it expands, then it's the fall of the empire. The whole empire has to collapse because of these 3 countries. They have tried to create a war between African states. President Abdurrahman Tian of Niger has refused to fight, his people has refused to fight black people. He has declared war against France's state. He's going to war against the colonizer himself. He's not going to war against Nigeria, who is a proxy. This is what they want. And this is why Americans are worried about the Sahel. In every conflict, America is the one who supplies the armies in all the conflict. They make billions out of these warlords. They make billions out of selling arms when countries are fighting. So in the Sahel, at this time around in the Sahel, they sponsor the terrorists, but they have to recover their money by selling the arms to the state itself. This time around, the Sahel states are not buying their armies from US, they are buying their armies from Russia. The US and the Europeans are losing money because they have to sponsor the terrorists. They continue to sponsor the terrorists, but the terrorists does not have money to buy the armies. The arms are bought by the government now from the Russian government, now from Russia. This is what is worrying the US because they are the ones who sponsor both sides of the war in order to make sure that they make as much money as possible in every conflict. So if they can get Nigeria to fight against Burkina Faso, then that is the best thing that they can do for themselves. If they can get Niger to fight against Benin, these are black people who are fighting against each other. You sell arms to Benin, you sell arms to Niger. The conflict should continue while you take the resources, while you are stealing the resources, you are stealing the gold. That's how they operate. But this time around, we've got proper leaders. President Abdurrahman Tian, President Ibrahim Traore, and President Assimi Goïta. Those are real leaders who've got the right kind of vision to lead Africa in the right direction. They are not tempted to fight another black person. Many times they have declared that Ivory Coast is the one which is sponsoring violence. which is sponsoring paying the terrorist as on behalf of France, and they have given them warnings. They have never declared war against Ivory Coast because they are not focusing in, their focus is in the colonizer themselves. The Nigerians want to be free, 100% free. And because they want to be 100% free, their focus is not on the sides. The dogs are barking on the sides and they are leaving the dogs. They are focusing on the owner of the dog. They're not saying let's beat the dog until the owner comes out. No. They're saying leave the dog barking, take the owner. He's the one who is sending this dog. If you remove the owner, then you won't have the dog barking. This is the template that they've been using in Africa and across the world. It's the same template. They create conflicts. The conflict is between the two fighting factions in the country, while they actually steal the money, steal the resources, steal the gold, steal the oil, whatever they can steal. As long as you are in the war, they want the war to be perpetual war, so that they continue to make profit from the arms selling and from stealing of your resources while you are engaged in a war. This is the reason why President Zuma has taken the approach to take the country through the ballot, which is totally reinforced. I mean, it's a very difficult job to do, to take the country and change the laws through the ballot. It's actually an impossible task, according to them, because they've already divided black people thoroughly, and they own almost all the parties in parliament. They own them. So if they own all the parties in parliament, then whatever is happening there is just a drama. They all belong to the same person. So the MK party is the outliner, which does not belong to the white system. So when the countries decide to free themselves, then they will be engaged in a war. They will not be allowed to free themselves willy-nilly like that. Americans have kidnapped Maduro, and they are preparing to kidnap Abdurrahman Tian of Niger because of his declaration, because of the cost declaration. They will also take Niger to court in their own countries. The decision of the court says it's final because it's within the jurisdiction of Niger. The crime happened there. So the case cannot be discussed anywhere else outside Niger. And the case cannot be challenged in any court. It's a final decision. They are expropriating all the assets of the colonizer without compensation. because of their role in slavery and exploitation of black people, stealing of resources, pillage, slavery, whatever whatever bad term you want to name, attributed to them, it suits them because they did it. There's nothing bad that they did not do. Every bad thing they did in Africa when they come. Even today, they continue to do every bad thing that they are known for. Their attitude is a smash and grab attitude. I only succeed if I take from you. I only win if you lose. Cooperation for them has no meaning. Competition for them is the highest form of existence. The weak should be destroyed. The strong should take all the things that the weak has. That is the attitude, the smash and grab attitude of the Western countries. Click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mngoni Mkhonto. This is the Royal Opinion. I thank you very much for joining this live stream. Share if you think this content would actually make sense for others. And make sure it does not cost anything. It does not cost you anything. It's actually free to like the video and also to subscribe. It's actually free. It does not cost you anything. Click the like button and just subscribe. Thank you very much. Enjoy your night.